With over 25 years in the event business, I've met some pretty incredible individuals and been part of some life-changing moments across some really crazy situations. Welcome to our Wild Stories, where we hope you walk away feeling good, getting inspired from people from all walks of life, along many journeys, and laugh at some crazy things that happen behind the scenes. Today, I'm joined by my husband, super volunteer and co-owner of C&B Productions. Race weekend, we didn't have an opportunity to have him join us in the Happier Camper in the podcast time because he was on many tractors. He was doing all kinds of things race weekend, and he was not able to join Emily and my dad. So we are here today to hear about his story coming into Wildflower. But I'd like to start with a little bit of an integrity moment and a little bit of a clout moment as far as how you first got involved with Wildflower. So Wildflower actually is many eons back, as far as decades and decades ago. So can you tell me your first experience with Wildflower?
The first experience was we were on the water ski team in Cal Poly, and this young lady over here to my side invited me to come out and make burritos for the weekend as a fundraiser. So we went out there and figured out how to make burritos, several thousand. I don't know if we made several thousand the first year, but we made burritos in a 10 by 10 tent. We slept on the floor of the tent, and all the burrito goo, beans and rice and salsa. We just laid on it. We were so tired. That was my first year. I didn't even know it was triathlon. All I knew was it was just burritos.
Burritos.
We got there on Friday morning, maybe Thursday night, and set up and made burritos Friday, Saturday, and Sunday and went home. I never left the burrito tent.
You did not. And so you kind of dabbed on the fact that you and I met each other at Cal Poly and on the water ski team. So tell us a little bit of a background as far as meeting at Cal Poly and our experience together on the water ski team, because I don't think many people know that you and I were on the water ski team together.
Yeah, that's how we met. Cal Poly, a friend, I met this guy in class and he said, let's go skiing. So we went down. He took me on the trip down to Mexico to go. We went skiing in San Diego and went down to Mexico and came back. And I didn't meet you then, but then you were on the water ski team and I kept going with it. And so just kind of met at some of the club meetings or the team meetings. And then I think it was that summer we started skiing because we were both here. We started skiing over the summer.
Yes. And so we were on the water ski team together, and that's really where I kind of found my love for event production, because you and I ended up being on the executive board and being part of being a president. And I don't know, did you hold a position on the water ski team as well?
I did anything you wanted me to do back then.
So, and we ended up traveling across the U.S. and we're on the All-American water ski team together. Mm-hmm. And there's a bit of tidbit of information that people did not know, that we were on the All-American water ski team.
Yeah.
And I am an All-American water ski team person in slalom.
You are, I wasn't. I went, but I didn't make All-American.
So now that kind of leads us into, people think about Wildflower and accommodations at Wildflower and the many years of volunteering at Wildflower and stuff like that. So people think a tent's like, I don't know how I can ever sleep in a tent. Well, I think we would have given anything for the first decade of us volunteering at Wildflower to have a tent, because we slept in tent. I mean, we slept on the floor of a burrito booth.
Yeah.
Where else did we sleep?
Well, we went from the burrito booth. We made a huge upgrade. We slept in the back of my truck for a long time. I think the first year we just had a blow-up air mattress, and then I got smarter and made a deck so we actually could fit a queen-size mattress in the back of my truck. So we did that for, like you said, probably 10 years.
Yes.
So.
Yes. And then I remember the day that we finally decided, okay, we've got to figure out the accommodations thing. I remember I was race directing even at the time, and I went up to the communal showers, and a lady asked me a question about the swim start as I was standing there completely naked in the communal showers, and she's asking me race questions. And I remember looking at my dad and saying, I think it's time I get staff lodging.
Yeah. You know, you were race directing, you know, you'd sleep in the back of the truck. I would stay in the burrito booth, but
Yes.
yeah, I did the burrito booth for 10, 12 years before I did anything else.
Yeah. So then from there, you stayed involved with Wildflower. You've upgraded from doing the donations of the burrito booth, and you went into doing what for Wildflower?
From there, I went into doing the timing.
Timing.
So that started, when did you get the stuff? You got the timing equipment in 2000-ish? 2001? When you got the timing equipment?
Yeah, right around that time.
I feel like we started timing it later than that. I think we started timing Wildflower a little bit later than that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
Been a long time.
Yes. And so you started helping with timing. We bought Creighton Mead back. He was out of the country. We called him up and said, hey, would you like to come back and help us start this timing company?
Yep.
And he came back and was our head timer, and you worked alongside him. And we grew the timing company, and over the years we had him, and then we had Sam that helped us for a while.
It started with Creighton, and then Creighton left, so I took over, and then we brought Sam and Devin in, and they helped for a while, and then they left, and I had to continue. So there was somebody else in there it was Bill. Bill was in there for about 6-8 months to a year.
But you've been the pillar of the timing.
I've been the one standalone for the whole time.
Yes.
25 years now, I think.
Yes. And then so as we came back in 2025, what were you the director of this year? I mean, there was many other things, but...
I mean, I think I'm the director of everything nobody wanted to do, except for Mike. Mike was the guy nobody wanted to do. I was a step above him.
and the knowledge of everything, though.
Yeah, the thing that Mike didn't have time for because he was off on a worse project, I got to do those.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that basically does give you kind of the the clout for people to say, okay, he does definitely know everything about Wildflower. He's been around long enough. He isn't new.
There.
He is definitely not new to this industry and stuff like that. So now, as far as when we got married, you were picked into this whole world. I remember you looking at me one time and saying, I have no clue how you get all these people to volunteer for you. I don't understand this.
Oh, I still don't. I still don't.
So, and then by this point, I mean, we're getting into the time at Tri-California when we were doing 8-10 events a year. We did the Nike Women's Marathon. We did the San Francisco Giants race. We were doing Nike Human Race. So we were traveling, and I think we figured out when we were chatting that I was gone like 4 months out of the year, but we were traveling, and all of these people that were coming from Cal Poly were traveling with us, and they kind of became family.
Yeah, I mean, they're our friends to this day.
Yes. So much of a friend. We have one friend, our fun uncle, Heber, that's actually living in our daughter's room right now, huh?
He moved in the day she moved out to college.
Yes. So when we say that it's a family, we're kind of using it in a literal sense, family. Mm-hmm. Yes. So now let's kind of transition a little bit into, let's go back a little bit further into 2018, because I think I talked to Bob Babbitt a little bit about it on his podcast as far as when we were doing that event. That was a little bit of a unique circumstance because we brought that event back, and at that point the park was kind of closed. So at that time the gates would close, and we would be the ones that were the only one in the park. And you and I would sit down by the lakeside after everything was closed. We would finished our work for the day. So, I mean, what was our work for the day? And I don't think that many people understood this.
I mean, it was a very strange feeling. You take a park that you're used to, I usually see it with, 10, 20, up to 30,000 people at it. So it's packed. And then you take that same condition and you have nobody, like literally not a single human being in there. The lake was closed. There was nobody in the water. There was nobody fishing. There was nothing. And so we had to get it ready. I weed whacked. Every campsite that somebody used that year, I weed whacked it, whether it was a mower or a hand trimmer. We swept all the roads because the park had been closed. So all the squirrels had knocked rocks on the roads. We swept the entire park with a sweeper. Just picking up trash, trimming trees, things that are normally handled on a day-to-day basis by the parks. We had to do it. So,
yeah, I remember you dropping us off at the top of Lynch Hill, and my son and I he was like 10 at the time. We would walk down the hill, and we would just throw the rocks either in the back of your truck if you were around, or on the hillside out of the way.
Yeah. These weren't rocks. These were boulders. These were large rocks. They would kick them out of the way so the sweeper could actually do stuff behind them.
Yeah, so the truck would be mine. And then we would pay him. At that time, he was doing whittling of stuff, and we would pay him in these whittle kits and stuff like that.
We took care of a lot of rattlesnakes. We moved them to a better place.
Yes, they were moved to a better place and stuff like that. But then I remember as the evening was over, it was some of the hardest work I've done, I thought in my life until 2025 hit. But that's...
At the time it was.
That's for another story. But I remember sitting by the lakeside, the peace and the quiet and the calm after all of that. We would go down to the dock and we would lay there. And I remember your vision for the park and just thinking, this is such a beautiful facility and how much can be done there and stuff like that. So what are some of the thoughts that were kind of going through your head? Like, wow.
I can't share my thoughts.
I know you can't.
My vision. I don't want somebody to steal my thoughts.
You're right.
But yeah, it was, you work from 7 a.m. until 6, 7 o'clock at night, and then you sit down and it's just peaceful. There's there's nobody there, and you have this huge lake.
We'd barbecue at night together. And
barbecued every night. There's deer around. The animals, the wildlife somewhat took it back over. They're always around, but they really got comfortable coming in. So there's deer everywhere. So it was just a really nice way to end a long work day. So. And
I think your outlook on life kind of changed because it's so peaceful. You're just sitting there. There's no TV. Actually, we would kind of look forward to going out there on the weekends and just enjoying that time with our family.
It was a lot of work, but it was a very rewarding, and it was fun. And then we had birthday parties out there and all kinds of fun stuff.
We didn't have any choice. It was like, it's your birthday this weekend.
Great.
Oh, guess what?
Bring your friends.
We're doing it out here. Yep. And guess what we're doing? We're doing a treasure hunt for rocks. Yep. We're going to do that. So, okay. And then we kind of went from 2018 and into some various changes that happened with us, and COVID hit, and you saw me kind of not know what I was doing, but at the same time, construction kind of took off because your world didn't change. So tell us a little bit about your business and what you do.
Yeah, so I own a construction company. We do heavy civil. What that means is I'm the guy with all the big yellow tractors. We move a lot of dirt, like housing tracks and roads and bridges and pipelines and those sorts of things. And when COVID's first hit, everything kind of stopped. And then everyone realized that they could work out of town and not work remotely. And so for about 2 weeks, we paused work, and then it got very busy. People started building a lot of houses. And so our work really picked up, and it's been going very crazy ever since. We really haven't stopped or slowed down or anything. So we brought Colleen on. You were bored and I needed help. Yeah. And so you came on board and helped. You've been there kind of helping ever since until you started Wildflower back up.
Yeah, so it was kind of, it helped me, kept my brain going, gave me something to do, because as an event person, you don't sit still very well.
Nope.
You kind of work and thrive off of adrenaline and stuff. So that's been good. But at the end, I always had kind of talked, and when I got around the Wildflower people, I always said what to you. You wanted one more.
That's all she wanted was one more. And she still just wants one more.
Yes, I always started, one more. But I think that also, when you thought about that, what was going through your mind when I said one more? Because I think it scared you as well.
Well, I mean, for years, I didn't really think it was a reality. It was just kind of a dream that you had, and it was off in the distance. You know, the COVID was still hit. The lake was still dry. There was no place to even do the event. Mm-hmm. I do remember you even talked about moving it somewhere, and it didn't really pan out, and just got more complicated than it was worth. But at the time, and so I just kind of let you have your dream, and if you wanted to do it, okay, but never really came to fruition. And then, why did this start last year? Where did it come from? I mean, I knew you always wanted to, but what was you're supposed to be asking me questions, but what was the trigger that said this is the year?
I think somebody told me I couldn't.
Oh, yeah, I could see that.
I think somebody told me I couldn't, and I think I was around a batch of people. I was at an event that was it had a bunch of Wildflower people I hadn't seen in a long time, and I really missed it. And I just, the what ifs. I am a person that doesn't like to live by regrets, and I just didn't want to ever regret it. And so I started talking about it. I just needed to know if I ever could. And I didn't like the way that it had ended in 2019. And I wanted to do one more under my name. And I think I had done a podcast with Bob Babbitt, and he kind of challenged me. And then I had somebody else from another race company that had said that I didn't know how to race direct it, or I couldn't, and put a fire under me.
I do remember that guy. Yeah, we'll leave his name off.
Yeah, and then I had a bunch of other people that had been doing Wildflower for years that said, I believe in you, and you have to do this. The sport needs this. And so I decided that I would give it one shot to see, does the sport really need this? And does all these people that say that they're going to support me, are they there to do it? Mm-hmm. And on the day that Bob Babbitt published his podcast, I got about 60 text messages that day. And I decided, I'd been praying about it for a while, and that day I decided that was the sign. That was like, okay, I'd been wondering about it, and that day was the sign. So, you kind of said to me, we sat down, we talked about it, and you said, I'm all in. And from then, you never looked back. You were all in. And for you, what did that mean? Because at one point I had to come to you and I had to say, this is going to be a huge, not a minimal, this is going to be a huge loss, not for the company, because it was beyond the company at that point. It was going to be financially something that our family had to take on. And we were all in. And I think that this is something for other families to hear, for other businesses to hear, because it was so important to me, and I think it's good for others to hear, because it was so needed at that time to be all in. And you came to me, and the all in was a gift that I don't know that others realize how important that is. I don't know that you realized it, but.
Well, I think, you make a commitment to something, you have to do it. You can't do it, half-heartedly. And I do construction projects, and I start new projects all the time. And there's times when they're good, and there's times they're bad. And the bad ones are the ones you really got to try harder on, because you have to focus and get them done. And this was, it was your dream, so I wanted to support you there. I don't think either of us understood how much work it was going to be when we decided to do it. I think looking back, we could both admit and agree to that. But it was, at one point she was working so hard, I had to fire her from her other job working for me, because she wanted to do both. That's just her personality. I just said, you can't do both. You've got to go away. But she was working from, 7 o'clock in the morning until 11, 12, sometimes 1 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes I'd wake up and she hadn't gone to bed. And so, I was doing my job, and then I was the chef. I cooked dinner every night for her and Heber, the guy who lived with us. So I did all of that. And then, just all this stuff with kids. I'd go grocery shopping. I was doing everything. Because and it wasn't like you were doing nothing. You were working full time plus. like I said, from 7 to 8 o'clock in the morning until midnight and beyond every day, 7 days a week for 6 months. And I've never seen anybody work that hard.
Yeah. But it was the all in, because it wasn't one of us that was all in. It was a family commitment when we decided to do this. And had the family not committed to do it, I don't think that it could have happened on that. So, as we're sitting there and we were, kind of fast forwarding and getting ready for the event, you've talked about your construction company, and part of your role in this was not just the chef, although I appreciated that very much. You also played a role in some of the things that you could bring to the table with your construction company. Like, you did drone footage for this, because your technology that you've done over the years for me for timing, I think has brought a lot of technology to your construction business. Because I would say, looking as an outsider looking in, what you guys do in your construction business is 10 times ahead of what a lot of construction companies do in the technology side of things. Yeah. I think you bring that to the table.
Yeah, I try. It's in construction. We're usually the last people to adopt technology, but it's something I've tried over the last 15, 20 years is to be ahead of that. So, but I did do a drone. We have a 3-dimensional photo to survey grade accuracy of the entire lake, entire park. So next year we're going to bring out some more features, more where things are, and kind of develop that a little bit better. But it was just something we tried to do. So.
Yes. So for those of you who are out there and who are watching this podcast, over the next 6 to 8 months, you're going to see this various drone footage that will be released through YouTube videos and various things that will be everything from camping to course footage to all kinds of fun stuff that will be his drone footage from the event. All compliments of this great technology that he has through his construction footage that we've been able to mirror the two of those through what he's done. So along with that, let's talk about the fact, because you were also able to get drone footage of the start line, transition area, finish live from the race footage this year.
Yeah, that was fun. I usually don't. I just turn it on, let it do its thing, and survey. Is this? I was able to actually fly it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So took the finish line, got swimmers out in the water, doing all that sort of things.
Yeah, that's one of the things that's great about Wildflower is from one location, you can actually see the start line, the swimmers, the cyclists, the cyclists going in and out. You can see the finish line that's right there. You can see runners coming back in, all from one standing location, which is fun. That's there. So tell me now, we were standing on the dock this year. We have adult children now and stuff like that, but we're standing there on the dock, and it was very emotional for our family. But we had Emily there, which I think was... you were shocked because she was truly an RD3 this year.
She did really good. And she was very impressive.
You had my dad, you had myself, you had you. I mean, what was some of the feelings and stuff that was going through your mind as you stood on the dock and you also looked up the ramp to see all these people that were sitting there racing? Because it was a start line for many, for the journey that it took for them to get to the race, because that's what I always talk about. But it was a whole different journey for us as a family.
It's almost our finish line,
I know.
It was just it was emotional, but it's a sense of pride that we got there after all this. I mean, it had been about 8-9 months of trying to working on this. I mean, all these nights and long weekends and up there, and we were up there sweeping the park again. And, didn't weed whack this year, let the park do it. But all those things, there were other things to do. And just seeing it actually come together after that long of not having anything, and all those people came out to support. I think everyone had a good time. I hope everybody had a good time. That was the whole point. But
I do think that the people who were there in 2025, I just got this sense that the majority of the people that were there because they wanted to support us as a family, us as an independent race, us as Wildflower. Like, everybody that was there was so happy to be there. I mean, I got so many thank yous that year.
That was the vibe that I felt, is just that everybody was just happy to be there.
Yes.
After 7-8 years, long time being there.
Yeah. And it was like people were just as happy to help other people get to the start line as they were themselves to get to the start line. So that was a neat experience. So how do you think that 2025 affected, I mean, not only our family, But how do you think, as we're looking back at it, how do you think it affected our support staff who also hadn't seen each other for 7 years? And then kind of on top of that, a little bit on the sport, because you do know, kind of some people, how it affected the sport, and some of the first timers that were out there that may not even know what Wildflower was.
Well, I mean, the group of friends that we had was, we hadn't seen them in 7 years, and it's amazing how fast life slips by. And you know them, you think of them, you talk on the phone once in a while, you Facebook and whatever posts and stuff, and you see people, but you'll never connect with them. And it was really nice to get all those people back together and just see each other. And it's like it's like they never left. They hadn't been gone. Mm-hmm. Everybody jumped in. They knew exactly what to do. Everybody kind of jumped in their old roles, and it's like I was a timing guy back then. I jumped into timing again and jumped on the forklifts, and most everything went in the right spot the first time.
Yes. Yeah.
So, but it was just good to see people and reconnect. That was probably one of the bigger things that I enjoyed, was connecting with people we hadn't seen in so long.
Mm-hmm. And it was like that, even though we hadn't seen several of these people for 7 years. I remember each person that I gave a hug, it was if it was just 1 year ago. We kept talking about Wildflower last year, and we kind of right from the beginning decided nobody's going to correct anybody for Wildflower last year. We just called it last year. Yep. We're just going to let that last. And we're going to pretend like none of us aged 7 years over that either.
I haven't lost any hair in 7 years.
No, none at all. Or that our kids that were crawling before are no longer going off to college or any of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that was fun to share those sort of things. And it was fun. Even like Mike Langford and I were sitting around talking, and several of the people that were at his aid station, because they have one of the infamous aid stations that it was all alumni from Cal Poly that all came back, and they've been doing it for years on the run course. And now it's all alumni with their Cal Poly students that are at that aid station. Mm-hmm. And so it's really neat to see how something like this can actually change generations. So when you are doing Wildflower, you can actually change generations for years to come.
Yeah. I hope more Cal Poly kids come next year.
Yeah. I just literally right before this, the reason that we were rushing to this podcast is because I was talking to Cal Poly, and they are so excited. My Cal Poly management team is coming back, and Cal Poly club sports, Cal Poly sororities, Cal Poly fraternities, they all are way excited about coming back. So look forward to seeing all of you guys there. So, when we're talking about Wildflower, we talk about 2025, and October 1st, the day that we're recording this, we just officially pressed the open registration button right before we came onto this, and the registration email went out. So what has the last 3 to 4 months look like? People, everybody else, they left the event and went on with their lives. Monday after the event did not just go on with our lives for us. I mean, it took us a full 5 days to get out of there after the event. Mm-hmm. Each day, kind of a different cleanup. I think you and I moved out of there Saturday after the event. So a full week to get everything cleaned up and moved out, and then more time after that and stuff.
Yeah, it was, I mean, what I told you was, I'm not going to ask you if you want to do this again for a few months. And I think you always knew you were going to do it again. You just didn't want to tell me. Because you really haven't stopped working on 26 after 25. It just rolled right into naturally, well, of course we're going to do it again. Why not? So it's been planning, getting registration ready to go, and a lot of, just back end stuff for you. I haven't done that much. You're actually helping making dinner this time of year, so that's good. But yeah, you've been working, almost full time still on it. Not the crazy hours, but...
Not the crazy hours. And I think in the back of my mind, I've been letting a little bit of the athlete emails and stuff kind of a little bit dictate things. And, in the back of my mind, is there a whisper of, is there a place for a non-corporate race in our industry? does those words still whisper in the back of my mind? And is there still partners out there that can pay the money to non-financial entities and all those sort of things? Those are all out there. I'm very lucky to have some good sponsors that came in right after the race was over. I got Roca, I got TriDot, I got Rudy Project, I got a few others that reached out to us and just said, I heard what you guys did last year and how personalized you are with everything that you do. Your race for athletes, by athletes, and we want to be there for you. And so, we've stayed at the root and heart of why we do it, because we love doing it. So right now we're kind of letting that dictate things. And we're seeing what it leads from there. We have chosen our 25 ambassadors that we love to be a part of things for 2026. And I would say I'm giving it one shot in 2026 to get everyone to come back to support us and to build for the future, to help us make the event everything it can be, everything it should be, and everything the sport needs for 2026. As we're doing this podcast for the journey back to Wildflower, I really wanted everybody to know the heart and soul behind C&B Productions, the heart and soul behind our family, behind all of the funny and crazy things that go on behind the scenes. This is not something that we start planning a few weeks before the race. This is something that the day after the race, we're already sitting around talking about it. In fact, my ops team, which I will be doing a podcast with a portion of my ops team, I will have to make sure that there's some bleep buttons and things that are off limits for some of them, but those will be some fun, crazy stories. But they have their notebooks out at every single meeting of how they can tweak this and do that and improve things for next year, because they like to perfect everything. And we just want to, like the story of the event is, it's called an experience because that's what this is all about. It's Wildflower experience, and it's everything for endurance racing, everything for festival, and everything for life. And so we hope through our wild stories that this once again was another wild story about our family, about water skiing, and about how we have had parks takeovers, how we have enjoyed Wildflower, everything from sleeping on tent floors to now upgrading to sleeping somewhat in a bed. It's been a crazy, wild ride, but we wouldn't give it back for anything. We've made some incredible memories together, spent special times along the lakeside dreaming about what could be, and working harder than we have in our entire life. But when we stood at that dock, hearing those cheers as athletes jumped in the water, it was all worth it. And we celebrated on Sunday alongside our support staff that have worked with us, many for decades. And the Wildflower story, we knew it was not done. And now we get to share part of that story with you. These last few podcasts are only the beginning. We have many more that will be coming to you every Tuesday. We recorded many stories at Wildflower, as well as many more to come. There'll be everything from training tips to elite stories to inspirational stories, something for everybody. So tune in and you'll be able to find out all the insider tips and something that will keep you going. Thank you for listening in to Matt and I and sharing our story. If you have a wild story of your own, be sure to reach out. Thank you and have a great day.